Positioning, The Battle for Your Mind, by Ries and Jack Trout. Picture this, a company bleeding money for 13 straight years. 13 years. We're talking about more than a decade in the red. This car rental business was stuck in second place, forever staring up at the giant, the undisputed champion Hertz. Year after year, they threw punches at Hertz. They claimed their cars were newer, their service friendlier, their deals better. But it was like screaming into the void. Nobody cared. Hertz was number one, and that was that. It was as unchangeable as gravity. Then something wild happened. They stopped fighting. Instead, they did something that seemed almost crazy. They created a campaign with a brutally honest slogan. Not, "We're the best." Not, "We beat Hertz." Simply, Avis is only number 2 in rent-a-cars, so why go with us? We try harder. Let that sink in. They actually admitted they were second place. They owned it. They hugged their weakness like a long-lost friend. And suddenly, the world woke up. People didn't see Avis as just a smaller Hertz anymore. They saw the hungry underdog with something to prove. After 13 years of losses, Avis turned profitable in year 1 of that campaign. The next year, profits doubled. The year after that, they nearly doubled again. This wasn't just clever advertising. This was a revolution in thinking. A complete flip of the script that would transform marketing, business, and even politics forever. That revolution is called positioning. The Avis story is just the opening act of a book that's become legendary, Positioning, The Battle for Your Mind, by Ries and Jack Trout. This isn't your typical marketing textbook. It's a survival guide for standing out in a world drowning in noise. First published in the 70s, it sold over 500,000 copies and become the secret weapon for some of the planet's most successful brands and leaders. Ries and Jack Trout weren't just advertisers. They were like archaeologists of the human mind, digging into a truth most people miss. The real battle isn't happening on store shelves or TV screens. It's happening in the 6 inches between your ears. Today, we're diving into that battlefield. By the time we're done, you won't just understand a marketing tactic. You'll grasp a timeless truth about how to make anything, a product, a business, even yourself, actually matter in our ridiculously crowded world. To appreciate the genius of positioning, we need to understand the monster it was designed to slay. Ries and Trout called it the over-communicated society. Even back then, they saw the tsunami coming. We were drowning in messages, too many products, too many companies, too much advertising screaming for attention. They calculated that Americans were consuming hundreds of dollars worth of advertising per person, per year. Thousands of messages daily, all fighting for a tiny piece of mental real estate. Now think about today. Social media, streaming platforms, the endless ping of notifications. If it was over-communicated then, we're living in communication apocalypse now. We broadcast constantly and absorb almost nothing. Our brains, in pure survival mode, built walls. We filter ruthlessly. We reject. We ignore almost everything. The mind, as Ries and Trout discovered, only welcomes information that fits what it already believes. Trying to change someone's mind? That's one of the hardest missions on Earth. So if you can't bludgeon your way into someone's brain with facts and volume, how do you get in? Enter positioning. Here's the revolutionary insight. Positioning isn't what you do to a product. Positioning is what you do to the mind of your audience. You're not changing the product itself. You're reshaping how it lives in someone's head. The easiest path to someone's mind? The golden ticket to owning mental real estate? Be first. Think about it. Who first flew solo across the Atlantic? Charles Lindbergh. Everyone knows that name. Now who was second? Drawing a blank? Most people do. The second person was Burt Hinkler. Excellent pilot. Forgotten man. First person on the moon? Neil Armstrong, obviously. Second? Buzz Aldrin, who's mostly famous for being the guy who wasn't first. Third? That's a trivia stumper. The first brand, first person, first idea to enter the mind in any category becomes almost impossible to remove. Think about brands that are the category. Photocopies? Xerox. Tissues? Kleenex. Cola? Coke. These brands didn't just arrive first, they invented the category. They built the ladder in our minds and claimed the top rung. Which brings us to one of the book's most brilliant metaphors, the little ladders in your head. To handle information overload, our minds create shortcuts. They rank everything. For every category, there's a mental ladder. In car rentals, Hertz sits on top, Avis on the second rung, maybe National on the third. For most people, the ladder ends there. Any other rental company faces a nearly impossible climb just to get noticed. The fatal mistake companies make is marketing in a vacuum, talking only about themselves. But positioning demands you know where you stand on the ladder. You must understand your competitors' positions before you can determine your own. If you're not first, you've got a positioning problem. And the solution isn't pretending the leader doesn't exist. The solution is relating your brand to the leader's position. This is the hard way in. But often, it's the only way. Avis nailed it. By saying, "We're number 2, they didn't attack Hertz. They acknowledged Hertz's dominance. Instantly, they secured that second rung in everyone's mind. And, we try harder, transformed their weakness into strength. The message landed. The big guy's comfortable, but the little guy's hungry. It worked, because we naturally root for underdogs." Another masterclass is 7-Up. In soft drinks, Cola's own the ladder. Coke on top, Pepsi second. So what did 7-Up do? They couldn't build a lemon-lime soda ladder that would matter anywhere near as much as the cola ladder. So they did something brilliant. They positioned themselves on the cola ladder. Their slogan? The Cola. One word. That's all it took. They became the alternative. The choice when you don't want Coke or Pepsi. In consumers' minds, the cola ladder suddenly looked like this. Rung 1, Coke. Rung 2, Pepsi. Rung 3, the alternative to both, the Uncola. They carved out space right in their competitors' territory. But what happens when there's no obvious number 2 or Uncola position available, when the ladder's packed with giants? This is where positioning becomes surgical. You have to reposition the competition. You don't just find a gap, you create one by pushing an existing idea aside. The textbook case is Tylenol. For decades, aspirin ruled pain relief. Bayer led the pack. Aspirin was what you took for headaches. It was an institution. How could little Tylenol, with its weird-sounding ingredient, possibly compete? They didn't say Tylenol beats aspirin. That would have been suicide. Instead, they repositioned aspirin itself. Their ads sounded almost like public service announcements. For the millions who should not take aspirin, if your stomach is easily upset or you have an ulcer, aspirin can irritate. Notice the strategy. They didn't even mention Tylenol at first. They focused entirely on planting doubt about the leader. They created a new mental space labeled people who have problems with aspirin. Only then did they introduce their solution. Fortunately, there is Tylenol. It became one of history's most successful marketing campaigns. Tylenol didn't just find a position, it created one by gently toppling the king. It became the number 1 pain reliever, not by attacking aspirin's strengths, but by exposing a hidden vulnerability. This leads to one of positioning's most critical elements, the power of names. The name, Ries and Trout insist, is the hook that hangs the brand on the mental ladder. In our overcommunicated world, the single most important marketing decision is what you name your product. A weak name, a confusing name, a meaningless name just doesn't cut it anymore. A great name kickstarts the positioning process. It tells people the major benefit immediately. Think about Head & Shoulders shampoo. What's it for? Dandruff. Intensive care lotion? Seriously dry skin. Die-hard battery? It lasts forever. These names work because they're simple, descriptive, and stake out clear territory. The opposite is what they call the no-name trap, when companies shorten names to meaningless initials. Companies see giants like IBM and GE and think initials equal success, but they're confusing cause and effect. International Business Machines became famous first, then people called them IBM, General Electric was a household name before anyone shortened it to GE. The name earned the abbreviation. When a lesser-known company like Smith Corona Marchant becomes SCM Corporation, it doesn't sound powerful, it sounds anonymous. The initials carry no meaning. The mind works by sound, not sight. We look for phonetic shortcuts. General Electric is 6 syllables. GE is 2. That's useful. But Western Union and WU are both 4 syllables. No advantage, so people just say Western Union. The authors share a revealing story about Eastern Airlines. For years, it was one of America's biggest airlines, but it constantly struggled with perception. Why? The name. Eastern sounds regional, not national or international-like. American or Corey, United. When passengers had a bad flight on American, they thought, just a bad day. Bad flight on Eastern? Their mind confirmed what the name suggested. It's that regional airline again. The name trapped them in a position they couldn't escape, regardless of advertising spend. Just as good names matter, so does sticking to one powerful idea per name. This brings us to another cardinal sin, the line extension trap. Line extension means taking a successful brand name and slapping it on a new product. On the surface, it seems smart. The authors call it inside-out thinking. The logic runs, we've got a famous name, people trust it. So if we put that name on something new, we'll ride all that existing goodwill. Sounds logical. It's a trap. Ries and Trout explain this with the teeter-totter principle. A name can't stand for 2 different things in the mind. When one idea rises, the other falls. Consider Heinz. For ages, Heinz meant pickles. They owned pickles. Then they pushed Heinz ketchup hard. They succeeded wildly. Today, Heinz is the top ketchup brand. But what happened to pickles? Heinz lost leadership to Vlasic. You can't be famous for 2 things. Or look at Xerox. Xerox means copier. The name is a fortress. But then Xerox wanted computers. They ran ads saying, this Xerox machine can't make a copy. They tried telling the world that Xerox meant more than copiers. But they diluted the name's very meaning. In people's minds, a Xerox that can't copy is broken. After burning hundreds of millions, Xerox folded its computer operations. The more you stretch a name, the weaker it gets. When a brand becomes the generic word, like Bayer for aspirin or Kleenex for tissue, that's ultimate power. But line extension destroys this. When Bayer sells Bayer non-aspirin pain reliever, the message becomes that Bayer is just a brand, not a superior aspirin. It shatters the magic. And this isn't just for corporations. Positioning principles are universal. They apply to politics, countries, and most importantly, to you and your career. This might be the book's most powerful part for someone starting out. People, like products, suffer the same disease, trying to be everything to everyone. What are you? What's your position? Can you capture what you want to be known for in one concept? The hardest part of positioning yourself is choosing that one specific idea. Most people aren't ruthless enough. They want options. But to cut through the wall of indifference, you must stand for something. Instead of trying harder, which most people do, Ries and Trout say try smarter. The secret is stopping your inward search for success. Success depends more on what others can do for you than what you can do alone. To succeed, you need to find a horse to ride. The first horse is your company. Is it going somewhere? No matter how brilliant you are, it's tough to shine in a failing company. The second horse is your boss. Is he or she rising? Hitch your wagon to a star. Many successful people rode up right behind a brilliant mentor. The third horse is a friend. Career breaks often come from a business friend who recommends you for opportunities. The fourth horse is an idea. An idea whose time has come is the most powerful force imaginable. But riding it requires sticking your neck out, facing criticism, and waiting for the world to catch up. The fifth horse is faith. Faith in an idea, a product, or other people. The authors tell Ray Kroc's story. He was a struggling milkshake machine salesman in his 50s when he met two brothers with a brilliant hamburger stand idea. The brothers lacked faith to expand. Ray Kroc didn't. He bought their idea and name, McDonald's, and built one of history's greatest business empires. All these horses require looking outside yourself. There's a sixth horse, difficult and unpredictable, that most try to ride: yourself. Succeeding alone is possible, but not easy. The best jockey doesn't always win. Usually it's the one on the best horse. So the final question is personal. What position do you own in people's minds, and what position do you want to own? Answering that isn't just marketing. It's the first step in crafting a meaningful, impactful life and career. When you really think about it, this book transcends marketing. It's a profound examination of communication itself. Ries and Jack Trout wrote this decades ago, before the internet, social media, or the 24-hour news cycle. Yet their diagnosis of the over-communicated society is more accurate now than they could have imagined. We're all marketers now. Whether you're posting on social media, applying for college, or pitching ideas at work, you're competing for attention. You're establishing a position in someone's mind. The principles in this book are universal laws governing success or failure. The most powerful lesson for me is shifting from inside-out to outside-in thinking. It's simple, but brutally hard to practice. We're all heroes of our own stories. We're deeply familiar with our products, companies, strengths, and weaknesses. So naturally, we start there. We talk about what we think matters. But positioning forces the opposite. It forces you to start with the other person, to climb inside their mind, see through their eyes, and understand the existing landscape, to see the ladders they already have, the positions already owned. It's an act of empathy, first and foremost. Before telling someone who you are, you must understand who they think you are, and who they think everyone else is too. So how can you apply this powerful thinking to your life right now? Here are a few simple actions. First, define your position. Grab paper and answer this. What's the one single thing you want to be known for? Not 5 things. 1. Are you the most creative person in your art class? The most reliable leader in your club? The go-to expert on a specific topic? Forcing yourself to choose one thing is the beginning of powerful positioning. Be a big fish in a small pond. Second, look for the gap, the hole. In any situation, instead of just being better than competition, look for what's missing. What unique angle can you take that nobody else is taking? If everyone in a group project focuses on big picture, maybe you master the details. If everyone shouts about being fastest, maybe you're most thorough. Find the open space. Third, simplify your message. In a world drowning in information, simplicity is a superpower. Can you explain your idea, project, or unique value in one memorable sentence? The Coca-Cola. We try harder. The nighttime cold medicine. These ideas are powerful because they're brutally simple. You don't explain them, you just get them. In the end, positioning is about clarity. It's cutting through noise, not by shouting louder, but by whispering the right message, the right way, at the right time. It's understanding that the mind isn't a battlefield to conquer with force, but a landscape to navigate with respect and intelligence. If you can see the world not just from where you stand, but from where others are, you'll have more than marketing advantage. You'll have a key to deeper, more effective communication in every aspect of life. That was a summary of Positioning, The Battle for Your Mind by Ries and Jack Trout. We've explored the core ideas today, but honestly, a summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. It shows the landmarks, but can never replace walking the terrain yourself. The real magic happens when you read the book. It's in those quiet moments, when a story or phrase hits you unexpectedly. This summary helps you decide if this book deserves your time. If anything we've talked about today resonated with you, I truly encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just learning. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you see yourself and the world. You can find a link in the description below. Also, if you found this journey valuable, please hit that subscribe button. We explore a life-changing book like this every week, and subscribing ensures you won't miss our next adventure into another corner of the billionaire's bookshelf. Your support helps us keep growing together. Thank you for listening.